The Weekly Harvest, an in-depth look at the Brandon Wheat Kings and the WHL.
Washman trying to come up with it for Allison. Here's Allison right in front. He scores!
Brandon Junior hockey fans, you've waited 2 decades for this. In the league's 50th anniversary, your Wheat Kings are the champions.
And that sort of thing. And
all right. One of us, it sounds like we may be getting a little feedback, but we're going to try this out. Welcome to the Weekly Harvest. We are doing this live tonight with a very special all-goalie episode. I think we got a bit of an echo feedback, but you got Falko here, you got Crowe, and as you can see onto the stream, we got, first of all, Wheat King goaltender coach, Tyler Plante. We might as well go back to the oldest guy first.
Look at that beard. While Falco's clicking buttons trying to figure it out, we've got Jordan Papirny on the screen as well. He's at home in Edmonton. And Jiri Patera, it's 3 in the morning in the Czech Republic, and he's joining us as well. Logan Thompson, who has always been a bit of a rule breaker, is late to the party. So we're going to wait for Logan Thompson. He's probably busy watching his goaltender fight over and over to make sure that he can give us the right play-by-play of it. But I'll start with you, Tyler. I know you've got kids and a real estate business and everything else to keep you busy, but what have you been doing over the last month and a bit without any hockey?
I'm not going to lie. I was really looking forward to this call. It gave me some structure in my life. It's been a lot of couch sitting. I'm a professional power walker. I even holding the weights lately, walking around town and just trying to keep busy. I mean, it's a weird time, as I'm sure you guys all know, and just trying to keep healthy and happy and spend a lot of family time. That's for sure.
Well, we got LT now, and I don't know, LT.
Oh, geez.
Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us.
Yeah, I can hear you. What's up?
All right. Well, then I'll lead into you, LT. What have you been up to? Are you still down south? Are you back home? What's going on?
We're going to dive into LT. He shows up 10 minutes late.
I'm back in Brandon now, and I'm just doing runs and kind of staying active as I can, but just hanging out in Brandon. Yeah. My bad. Where's Jiri? Is Jiri here? Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
What's going on, Jiri? It's what time is it? 3 in the morning in the Czech Republic?
Yeah.
Thanks for getting
3.
up for us.
He was on time.
I didn't go to bed.
Dude, I've been trying to get this on my computer this whole time. This is a whole process. I used the username and password he sent.
Sure, LT, sure.
Yeah.
I saw you mucking cod.
Yeah, he's probably in a game.
Well, Paps, you didn't get a chance to chime in. Paps, what's been going on? Are you still taking classes, or is that all shut down? What's going on with you?
Yeah, so all our classes got moved to online. So I've just been doing everything remotely, and I had a final actually this morning, and I got one tomorrow morning, and then I'm done, free for the summer.
Was it difficult to transfer from one school to another, or was it pretty seamless?
Yeah, it was. There's a little bit of a process that goes into it. I mean, it's kind of like being traded in a way. Like you go to a whole new team with like a different group of guys, and you meet they've got a culture there. They got to kind of already everything set in place. So it is a little bit different, but it was good. It was a good change.
Well, Paps, one of your former goalie partners had himself a interesting year this year down in South Carolina. LT, you got into a goalie fight. Now, who else in this room has been in one? Tyler, you been in a goalie fight?
What Logan is out? Are we going to classify that as a fight?
Well, I think on the score sheet it was listed as a fight, but that could just be the referee's discretion.
It looked like a pillow fight.
I mean, I got nothing to say to Plante. I had nothing to say to that guy. Everyone else was really supportive. Plante was Paps was supportive. Jiri was. Everyone's supportive except for Plante, but I'm not surprised.
I didn't
even get a chance to see it before he had texted it to me. I'm somewhat of a self-promoter.
What started that, LT? Did you start that, or I know there was a bit of a brawl going on, but who made the first move?
No, it was a delayed penalty, so I was just skating to the bench, and then I guess kind of a brawl happened. I was skating back, and I was kind of at the blue line, just kind of watching, and next thing I know, McNiven was skating towards me, and it was like 2-0 with like 10 minutes left in the game. And I kept shaking my head. No, I didn't want to fight. I was scared. and he kind of took his gear off. I didn't really have a choice, so I had to kind of just take my gear off, and luckily I didn't get hit. So,
well, that's the best. If you can avoid getting hit, that's my kind of fight.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay, so if we're gonna classify LT's fight as a fight, who else has been in one?
No.
I have had a few.
You had a few? Is that in the American League?
I had 2 in the American. I've never fought a goalie. I've only fought players.
Always the small forwards.
2, yeah, for sure. 2 in the American League and 2 in the East Coast League, I believe. I don't remember.
You're probably the only guy in this chat that took warm-up without a helmet on, too, as a goalie. You didn't take any shots, though, thank goodness. Jiri, we got to say congrats, Jiri, being named the Eastern Conference Goaltender of the Year and a nominee for the WHL Goalie of the Year. Obviously, you were having a great run. Team was 24-4 in the last stretch of games. What was making you so successful this year? And be careful, because Tyler is listening. Oh, we lost him.
Wi-Fi's cutting out.
Well, I think Jiri had the second half of the year. He was just completely dialed in. I'll attribute it to the entire team. It was team success, right? I think you guys could just see a shift in the way everyone was playing, and we often referred to it as Jiri's zone. He was in the zone all year, and I'm sure I can attest to everyone in this group. When you get into that zone, the puck feels like a beach ball. And you just feel it, and he was feeling it night in and night out, and the team felt confident in him. I'm sure if you asked anyone on the ice, they would say how confident they were that he was going to do the job. So I think that worked hand in hand and built to a lot of team success.
Well, I got a question on Twitter when I posted this from a @IGE_97. He said, this right here is the cream of the crop of Wheat Kings goaltenders in his lifetime. From Plante to Papirny, there was never a drought in goal. His question is, and we'll start with you, Paps, when did you know you had won the starter job? Was there a specific moment where someone told you, hey, you're the number one, or a certain moment where you knew you were the starter? Paps, start with you.
I guess my first year, I was 17, and it was me and Curtis Honey. And Hans was a great goalie partner. He battled a little bit of injuries. He broke his finger and then had some concussion problems. And I kind of just, I guess, de facto got kind of put into a role where I was playing every game. And, when he came back, we kind of just went back and forth. And then in playoffs, I got to play. And the next year, Krim told me that he wasn't coming back. So, from my 18-year-old year, I knew that summer that I was going to be the guy, and yeah, that's kind of how it all played out.
Tyler?
I was a 17-year-old rookie as well. My goalie partner was Mike Nickel, absolutely fantastic guy, fantastic teammate. I think we split first half of the year, and then after Christmas, I started to play a little more often, and then right into playoffs, I kind of adapted into the starting role that year. And Mike was a year older than me and a teammate from when we were growing up. And he was an absolutely fantastic guy about it, fantastic teammate. And I believe he went on to be an anesthesiologist. So I think he's doing just fine without hockey.
Well, LT, yours was a little different because you and Paps were there together. And obviously when Paps was traded, that's when you took over. What was that moment like for you? You had to be a little relieved in the sense, but probably a little sad to see your buddy go as well.
Yeah, I think I was never relieved to see Paps go. I think I saw Paps on the staircase as soon as it happened, and we both just started crying. But no, I never really knew. I think I was the starting goalie until I was 20 years old. Obviously, we brought in Travis Child, and I mean that's another healthy competition right there. And I never really kind of knew I had the starter job until I guess my 20-year-old season coming in as a full year being a starting goalie. But I think it made me better. A lot of the healthy competition and going back and forth, especially with Paps. I think he pushed me every day, and he definitely made me a better goalie. And it's a lot of credit goes to him. He's definitely a guy that you can watch and practice in games and learn a lot from.
And Jiri, did you know you were going to be the starter coming from the U.S.?
No, that was just probably one of my goals to be a starter in my first year in Canada. So it was a little bit different coming from US because I didn't really play as much as I wanted, and yeah, we were splitting like every other game, and yeah, kind of when I was in Canada for the first year, I was playing quite a lot of games, so I didn't really think of that role as a starter. I was just like happy with
the fact you're in there.
So,
well, it turned out for you, Jiri.
Yeah.
One of my favorite questions, and especially for guys who aren't, born and raised in Brandon or the area, who don't know a lot about the Wheat Kings, is what was your first impression of the Wheat Kings? Even going back to like that moment that you were first drafted, is it a team that you knew anything about? Were you at all excited to come? And then what was your first memory of being a Wheat King? If it was practice, a game, or whatever. Paps, you first.
I guess I remember watching the draft, and the Brandon Wheat Kings actually picked Cord Pankowitz. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
So Cord Pankowitz, he's still to this day one of my best buddies, and so he got taken at I can't remember, early in the draft, and I remember kind of thinking to myself like, oh, Brandon, like that's far, and never really clued in. And then a couple 10 or 12 picks later, whatever it was, I ended up getting taken, and that was kind of my first initial impression. And then from, arriving there, I remember being in the Canada Inns and in training camp, and smelled like, what's the word to put it?
Like agricultural money.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But it was great. It felt like home right away. And, I got to skate with Plante, because I believe he was still going and playing pro that following year, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
We did a goalie session together. Was it with Z or? Yeah, it was with Z.
It was with Z, and yeah, I almost threw up after that. It was pretty intense, but yeah, it was good. And Plante made me feel welcome right away, and so did everyone else. It was just overall a really great experience.
And talking to a lot of Wheat Kings, we always love hearing those stories, and it seems like it's almost like something that the veterans, like a pride patch that they wear, that they get to share that knowledge or kind of help the young guys get into the organization. And that's kind of why we always like having all four of you, because you guys all have direct links together, at least somewhat. Now, I want to go back to my question originally, but while I got this on my mind, Tyler, when you started being the goaltending coach, how long into that? Because you did coach Paps, there was some overlap there, right? Like you have coached all three of these guys now?
Yeah, you bet.
Right. Wow, that's awesome. So back. So your first impression of the Wheat Kings, did you know anything about it? Anything about the team? Obviously you knew they existed, but did you know anybody on the team? Was there anything that kind of drew you to it?
No, I remember I was in class actually on my phone during math class, kind of just refreshing the app for the Dub draft. And I never thought I was going to get drafted, and saw my name in the 6th round. And I had no idea where Brandon was. I was lucky enough to get drafted with my teammate, Braylon Schmear. So me and Schmearsy came here together, which was nice. And obviously knowing the Wheat Kings and looking at their past draft results, they had, Paps here and being a 1st round pick. That was a guy that, held the competition again and looking up to. But yeah, other than that, I really knew nothing about Brandon, and I was just super excited to get the opportunity to be drafted, and the team wanted me. So I was just happy to be a part of the organization.
I can actually attest to that, Falko, because I wrestled with whether or not I was going to tell this story. But I did. I wrestled with it, and I didn't want to throw LT under the bus right away, but he was late.
There's people in this chat, Plante, so let's keep it nice.
He was late to the party, so to attest that he knew nothing about the organization, I remember when I was young, growing up watching Jamie Hodson, Jomar Cruz, Rob McVicker, Jeff McIntosh. I just thought those guys were the greatest. I looked up to them. I wanted to be like them. They went on to have pro careers, and I was really, their brain really wrapped my head around what it was like to be them. And so I thought it was important that when I was done playing with the Wheat Kings to try and be a role model and, and be helpful to these young guys, because I was still prolonging my career. And I had helped out with training camp, met Logan, even coached his team. And then the following year goes by, and we're in the summer, and I'm actually out at a friend's bachelor party in Calgary. And I right away, I'm at an adult establishment at the bar, let's call it. And I see Logan, and I actually go over to say hello to him. Just, hey, he's probably going to make the team next year. Or, hey, Logan, how's it going? He goes, hey, Roback, what's up, bro? Coming out. Then I ended up coaching him, which was hilarious. So, he didn't know anything. So
It was dark.
Was
dark. I had a tall guy. It was an accident.
So, did you know Kobe somehow from something else then?
No, I've never met Roby in my life, but I was like, "What's up, Roby?" Yeah.
That makes it even better. It's somebody that you didn't even meet yet, but somehow still reaching organization. Wow.
And I remember
and Plante was so offended too. You think Plante would have laughed it off? He was offended. That didn't know who he was. It was I was embarrassed too. But Plante was gave me the dirtiest look. I should know who he is, but my bad.
Come on, I was going back to it. I was borderline nervous to talk to these older guys who had played before me. So much respect, and he's calling me bro, handshake at me, calling me Roback. So. Terrible first impression.
Well, we've got a comment on the YouTube page, and it's from equipment manager Scott Halady, and he chimed in right at 8:02, and he just said, "Nice work, LT." And I'm assuming that's referring to you being late. So even Scooter says, "Nice work." I got to ask before we got to get LT's thoughts or Yuri's thoughts. Did you know anything about Brandon when you got drafted? I know you were in Iowa, but did you have any clue where you were going?
No, I remember when the import draft was underway, and I was just going on. Yes.
This is awful, Yuri.
Yeah.
The Czech Republic. Oh, it's tough to talk to you, bud.
We got to get some Westman Communications fiber optic cables right into Yuri's basement or something. Paps, I got a question here. I'm not going to tell you, Paps. I'm not going to tell you who this question came from. You have to guess. Yeah. But a question came into my phone. He said, "Hey, Crowe, you got to sneak this question into Paps. Rumor has it that you're the worst darts player that's ever existed. What is your response?"
Is that Chad Wallin?
That's my billet Chad Wallin. So Chad and Michelle Wallin, they were my billets while I was in Brandon. And the two boys, Sawyer and Xander, and they were awesome. Me and Chad, we battled pretty much every night in any sort of competition you can imagine, whether it be cards, darts, mini sticks, pretty much anything. So he still to this day thinks he has the upper hand on me, but I could put that to bed. It's not true at all.
We're supposed to also ask you about some mime wrestling match.
Is that Bradley Schoonbart?
Yes, it is.
Possibly.
One of your Calgary teammates.
Possibly. Yep. Not sure what that's about though.
Yeah, so it's kind of a funny story. So at Calgary, and LT can maybe chime in on this, there's this last day of school thing at University of Calgary they have. It's called BSD. Bermuda Shorts Day is what it stands for. And it's just basically a giant party on the last day, and everyone dresses up in kind of shorts and beach theme. And our hockey team decided to do a mime theme instead. So we all dressed up as mimes, and everyone else was wearing beach attire. So it's a pretty fun event. There's probably LT, do you kind of know a little bit about it?
No.
There's a lot of kids there. I want to say this might be exaggerating it, but there's probably about.
I don't think that surprises anybody either.
I love it.
He lives in Calgary, hey?
He's a Calgary guy. You should know.
He lives in a Calgary. He lives in a bubble.
Yeah.
Which now is very much a good thing, so that's okay.
Yeah. It is. So yeah, we dressed up as a mime, and me and this guy Bradley Schoonbart, we kind of weren't talking the whole night, and there's probably honestly about, I want to say 10,000 kids on campus, kind of in a small area, and it's a lot of fun. And we decided to organize this mime wrestling fight, me and Scoob, and in order for me to convince him to do it, he had to be on the winning end of it. So he ended up doing the Randy Orton RKO on me in the middle of this grassy patch of the UFC. So it was pretty fun. We got a little video of it, and everyone kind of got into it. It was pretty fun, but that's the story behind that.
I got a question. I'll start with Yuri. It looks like he's got a decent connection. Make this quick, Yuri. Who's your all-time favorite Wheat King teammate? Ooh.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Zach Whitting, Rooks.
Zach Whitting. All right. Paps, what do you got?
Yeah.
Well, can you repeat the question?
Or
All-time favorite teammate in Brandon.
or Krooks.
Oh, geez. There's a lot of guys. I mean, LT
Pat,
is.
we still talk every day, so
I'm gonna hear about this if I don't say LT. But I mean, all the goalie partners I guess I had over the years were awesome, and you kind of have a special bond with those guys. I'd say every year. You know, you're kind of the only two guys on the team that understand. You know, you play a different position. It's a little bit different than everyone else, right? So you develop a little bit of a bond with them, and I guess every goalie partner I've had throughout the years, and me and LT obviously won a championship together. So that one for sure. And yeah, all the guys have been great.
Tyler, I know you and Billy are pretty tight now, but
I got to go with Billy's Beef Lego there.
yeah, this podcast should be brought to you by Billy's Beef. I'll get our salespeople on it. Are you just saying that because he dropped off a package of ground beef at your house the other day, or was he seriously your favorite teammate?
I don't know if I can classify a favorite teammate. Me and Mark were pretty tight. Actually, we probably got tighter the older we've gotten. I'd say I was really when I was playing. I was really tight with Sami Sandell. Actually, he was a Finnish Euro. I remember he didn't. We were bunkmates, so you guys all know the bunks on the Viking bus, and when you're a rookie, you have to share them, and they're very tight. And I remember Sammy had a rough start to the year. He didn't score till, I don't know what it was, game 40 or something. And it was like a 8-1 loss in Lethbridge, and he was the one, or 8-2, and he sellied so hard. I just remember we were getting killed. And he always stuck with me. He couldn't really speak English when he first got here, so we hung out a lot, and I helped him out and stuff. And he just he was a good guy.
LT, who's your favorite?
I gotta agree with Paps. Like I said, he was a guy that was there since my first day of training camp, and we played a couple of years together, and I learned a lot from him. And he was always there for me and always helped me. So we won a championship together, and I definitely learned a lot of things from him. And yeah, like I said, he was a great teammate and the guy you looked up to. And definitely, I agree with everything Paps said.
What are you guys doing now for the summer? I mean, obviously everything like life is kind of on hold, but I mean, in terms of like when hockey does pick up, obviously you guys have plans going forward. So how are you trying to stay active and kind of staying ready for that? I don't know who wants to take that one first. Let's go to.
Are you allowed on the ice, Paps,
Yeah,
LT, Jiri? Are you guys allowed to go to any rinks anywhere or anything?
I'll set this.
Nothing here.
No.
Yeah, nothing here.
So is there any way to simulate what you guys need to do to training, or do you generally feel like you guys are going to be behind if this thing starts back up in September again?
Any of you guys want to jump on that one?
I've always been an on-ice guy, I think, but I definitely been working on my cardio and stretching. I mean, it's really all I can do. I'm pretty limited on what I can do here, and especially in Brandon, nothing's really available, and I don't have a weight set or a rack or anything like that. So just staying, being able to just stretch and work on my cardio and just body weight stuff here at home is really all I can do, and that's what I'm going to keep doing until hopefully stuff starts to open up.
Who does yoga?
Chelsea McCrimmon.
Well, we all know that Chelsea McCrimmon does yoga.
Has any of you guys tried her live yoga on Instagram? I thought about it, but I just felt like it'd be a bad idea.
She did that handstand thing the other day, and I texted her right after I tried it. I landed flat on my face.
If any one of you
can't try what she does. What are you thinking?
We are so far behind. Even all four of you are in better shape than me and Falko, but I wouldn't suggest trying that for the safety of your neck and your vertebrae.
No, but boys, no shame in going to any of the yogas, especially the yogas in the park there. Fantastic on an old summer day.
Are they still doing it here in Brandon?
Well,
probably not now.
Not right now, but up until last summer she was. Yeah, and they were awesome. They were always good. She's going to love, by the way. She's going to love there's a part of the podcast where we started talking about yoga.
Jiri, in Europe, is it the same? Are you allowed to get to a rink, or are you locked down too? Aside from your internet.
No, I'm literally doing the same thing like LT, just going for a run and just doing cardio and some home workouts. That's about it.
Certainly difficult. Okay, so let's go back. I want to ask. I got a question here. Another one came in on Twitter from. I can't. It's just a bunch of letters. But anyway, they basically said, "What was your favorite moment as a Wheat King?" Obviously, Paps and LT have the championship. Tyler had some great playoff runs. Jiri was only here for a couple years. Start with you, Tyler. Let's go back in the history vault. What was your favorite moment as a Wheat King?
I'd have to say the playoff run when we went to the finals against Kelowna my rookie year. I mean, obviously, it still bothers me the way it ended, and I'm sure everyone on that team would say the same thing. But just the whole ride, the whole year was just a lot of fun. I still have it up there and one of my best hockey memories for sure.
Paps?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to beat the championship we had. I mean, that's why you play, right? You play to win that and lift the trophy. And I still have the picture here framed with every one of us in it. And I mean, it's hard to beat. I mean, that's a memory that'll last a lifetime. And to this day, like I still, there's little things throughout that whole experience that still kind of bring back memories that I'll always kind of shoot a Snapchat to a random guy that kind of, maybe some story or something from along the lines of back then, and kind of brings it back. But other than that, yeah, that's all I can really think of at the moment.
How does your nose feel?
It's good. I get asked about that quite a bit because all the pictures are of me with my head back, and then after my nose is stuffed with Kleenex because I ended up getting hit from the back and into the back of McCoy Urkamp's head, and my nose, it was just bleeding everywhere. It's pretty bad, but yeah, I made for a good story, I guess.
So your injury happened during the celebration?
Yeah. You can there's actually a really good picture of Reed Duke jumping up. He's like midair on the pile. He's like on top of the pile right by the net. And it's like his body goes in the back of my head into back of Erks's head. So it's kind of a freeze frame of that. Every time I see that, I remember that moment.
I imagine you've got a similar experience. The championship, your favorite moment?
Yeah, it's definitely hard to beat that. It's my first championship, and that was a special group of guys. And I only played 20 games that year, but that was just a privilege being a part of the Wheat Kings in that team. And like I said, it definitely you learn a lot from it and learn how to be a champion. And yeah, I loved every minute of it, and that's something that's gonna be with me forever.
Jiri, do you have a favorite moment from the last 2 years?
Yeah, probably when we were on a 10-game winning streak. And then the season before when we beat PA back-to-back, we were the only team that beat them back-to-back. So I think it was pretty special. Did you guys hear me at all?
That was your best answer yet.
Yeah,
that was your best answer yet. I feel bad. We kept Jiri up, and now it's not even working.
Yeah, and I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast yet, but it's 3 a.m. in the Czech Republic. So
Jiri's playing PS4 at this hour every day anyway. He's fine.
LT, only because of you, LT. Only because of you, LT. You always keep me up.
As we wind things down, obviously, we're gonna wind things down as we wrap up this edition of the Weekly Harvest. I don't want to keep you guys any longer, but I'll finish on kind of one final question from me. If you had to explain to a kid that's going to get drafted on Wednesday one piece of advice about going to Brandon, what would your piece of advice be? I'll start with you, Tyler. Kids getting drafted, your first comment to them, what piece of advice are you giving them?
Don't call your goalie coach Roback. I think I would say you're very fortunate to be drafted by such a first-class organization, and I still tell people that the Wheat Kings are my hockey family, and welcome to the family, and just tell them to embrace it because junior hockey goes by before you know it, as I'm sure all you guys can agree with.
Paps?
Well, I think obviously to build off what Plante said, just enjoy the whole experience in general, but in particular, Brandon, it's such a special place. It's kind of got its own personality. I guess Winnipeg's now in the league, so I was going to say there's the only Manitoba team, but it carries it's weight in gold, and just to enjoy it, and it carries a lot of history, and there's so many great players that have came through the organization. Just enjoy every minute of it.
LT?
Yeah, I agree. It's a place you're going to fall in love with. Me being from a big city, I definitely fell in love with Brandon, and they're a great organization. You're going to have to work for everything, but they'll make you a better person and a better hockey player when you're done.
And what about you, Jiri? Finally, final thoughts?
I just want to go to bed.
No, I think I met a lot of people who have different opinions about the city, but I absolutely loved it, and it was such a great experience to be in Brandon for 2 years, and I really enjoyed every minute of it. So I loved it there.
And I think that's what kind of shocks a lot of people is when you talk about other cities across the league, that when players kind of just travel here, it's different. But when you play here and you live here and you get to know the culture and the people and the team, it really kind of changes your whole perception of it. And the fact that Jiri, last summer, you basically lived here throughout the summer doing the early schools. Like LT, you come back, you help out. Like Paps, we've even seen you a couple times over the last couple of years, like popping by for different things. Hopefully,
we can't get rid of Tyler.
We can't get rid of Tyler. We see. We thought we did, and then he's back. But I think that just kind of speaks to it too. Like people who don't have roots here end up having roots here once they're done in some way or another, or at least want to come back and be a part of it for even a couple weeks, couple months. If this wasn't going to be going on throughout the summer, were you guys going to be scheduled to come back here doing any goalie schools around the area this in the next little bits? LT, you first.
Yeah, I'm going to help out if it's still going. It's Tyler Pond's goalie school. I always seem to help out there, and it's a great goalie school. And then the Wheat King hockey school if they need me. But yeah, I pretty much live in Brandon now every summer. So yeah, I'm always around if needed and available if they need me.
Jiri, were you going to be coming back over here? Now that all this is going on, you're just going to be staying over in the Czech?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just be staying over here until I know what's the
I don't know what's worse, is Jiri being quarantined or
some point in the summer.
How do you play video games on this internet connection, Jiri? I just don't get it.
He doesn't play video games. It's terrible.
What do you guys play?
It's not my fault.
We play along with everything, like NHL, GTA, COD, but the guy's doing this 24/7, so it's hard to play with the guy.
Tyler's the old man in the group as he's watching his kids play video games in the living room right now. He's not playing.
I tried to get him to play like Mario with me, and they just like, what is this?
Mario's made a bit of a comeback in the last little bit, though.
Oh yeah, we play Mario Party. You jump around.
Yeah.
That's insane. But I like the old school, like on Super Nintendo and 64.
Well, boys, this was fun, and if this goes on, obviously, much longer, we'll probably have you on a little later in the summer. Maybe not all 6 of us at one time. Maybe go a little more individualized. But I think for episode 2 of season 2, we had a lot of people that were excited about it. People love the goalies, whether it's because of the pads, the mask, the fact that you guys are pretty good with the fans. I know, especially LT, when my wife was the team photographer, you seem to have a pretty good eye for which corner she was set up with the camera, and that seemed to be the corner that you would go in for your skate to every single time. And the hair flip. So if she switched to the other corner, all of a sudden your skate ended up in the other corner too. And I think you're good with
I don't see what I'm going to throw under the bus all the time. I think Yuri's got a lot of water spit photos going around too. What's going on here? Yuri's always showing his feet.
Listen, when Jiri chooses what side he's going to do his hair flip on, it's not based on the camera. It's based on who's sitting in those seats. If you know what I'm saying. Okay, before we go, we got to do 2 things with you guys. Number 1 is we got to do a little thing here that we're going to call Make a Face. So we need you guys. We're going to take a screenshot of this. This is going to be the thumbnail of the podcast. So if you're going to smile, if you're going to be serious, I don't want to have anything all weird glitchy. And for us to do this, we got to do this properly. So here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Make a face. There you go. Good job, boys. Secondly,
we appreciate you having on.
And just Crowe, you mentioned like trophy-winning goaltenders. We King fans love their goalies. We know this. We have got former fan favorites here, but we've got more than that. Quickly, who's got, and I did not research this because I want to see the live, who's got the most trophies at the year-end awards among you guys? Because all you guys have had some pretty successful years.
Jiri or Paps, for sure. I think it's between those two.
I don't know.
Jiri cleaned up this year, but Tyler's got the name on the wall in the weight room, which I think is what matters, right, Tyler?
I just don't know if that board's been updated.
You're hoping it doesn't get updated.
I almost got his record this year, so.
Yeah, I almost won a championship.
Paps, you can chime in here. You're the only one. End it off.
Yeah, I guess I could. I don't want to really go that far with it. Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. Someone might have to dig that up and see.
And because like LT, like the year after, I think you won 3 or 4 that year as well. I think almost the same amount as Jiri.
Both hair flips.
All hair flips.
Yeah.
Best hair flip.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too sure how. But I think Jiri or perhaps Jiri for sure cleaned up this year. I mean, I was watching on Twitter and it seemed like every award was going to that guy. He's hogging them this year. Doesn't want to share.
I got one final thought. Each one of you guys has been through a really strange moment in Wheat Kings history. I'll go to Tyler Plante first. He was a part of the smiley face, which became a wild thing where fans were just throwing smiley faces onto the ice, all because a volleyball or a sewer ball got stuck in the rafters. Paps ended up on the team that got the mumps, and I think Paps ended up getting the mumps at one point. LT was a part of the Fog Bowl, and I think, Paps, you were a part of that too. And then Jiri was a part of the season that got cut short. So not only do you guys have some records in the weight room and on there, you guys have been a part of some really historic Wheat King moments that are going to go down in history as probably not great hockey moments, but some really weird trivia questions moving forward.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of an odd thing, but
You guys are all weirdos.
Yeah.
It's either bad luck or just strange luck, one or the other.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well,
We also won 10 in a row and lost 10 in a row my 20-year-old season. So
All right. Yeah, that's hard to do.
wait, yeah, cool. So, like, Jiri won 10 in a row, LT won 10 in a row. Paps, I don't know if that championship year, was there a 10 in a row streak that year?
Won 20 in a row.
I'm sure we could probably find one in there. Maybe.
There was a lot of winning streaks in that year. And Tyler, going back to yours, was there ever one?
Yours was 10, right? Yours was 10, or was it 11?
Yeah, I thought it was 10, but I don't.
Yeah. No, you guys are the cream of the crop. We appreciate you guys taking time out to join us and do this. Really kind of just try it out, really, live for the first time with guests. And like I said, I'm glad that we got to do it with, 4 guys who are fan favorites. I know the fans are going to get a kick out of seeing you guys, and all the best. And really looking forward to when hockey schools get back up and running, that we'll see you guys back around Brandon here again.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Sounds good. Thanks
You
for
guys
having
have a
us.
good night.
Bye, Jiri.
Good night.
Good night, Jiri. All right, that is the Weekly Harvest podcast for this week. Crowe, thank you so much for joining us here. We are going to be having this uploaded beginning tomorrow at noon across all the traditional podcast channels. So if you want to download it that way, you can. Or it's going to live right now here on the Q YouTube page after, so people can check it out there.
Good stuff.
Next Monday, we'll be back here live at 8 o'clock. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you then. Bye.
Be sure to follow Q Country and the Wheat Kings on Twitter and Facebook for all your Brandon Wheat Kings news. Thanks for listening to the Weekly Harvest.